and let everybody know. Send now. Cool. Also, it's worth hitting up on Twitter. Tweet this. Okay. Nice. All right. Cool. I think we're all good. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Just scooch this down and move this out of the way. All right. And I got chat open here, so folks dip in, be able to say what's up. So we'll let people come in for a sec. So don't tell me anything yet, so everybody can kind of see the whole process. But I think we're good. Just let some folks. If you're in the chat, say hello, say what's up. Also, I just tweeted it if you want to share that as well.
Yeah, I just did that.
Cool. Yeah, how you doing today? Otherwise, how you feeling?
Oh, good. Oh, great. Excited for this. I've been looking forward. I just think that doing these things publicly allows me like to keep it on check. Like to keep on going and keep on doing it.
Right. It's like accountability. It's good accountability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff, yeah.
Awesome. We got Gaseous in the chat. Says hello, guys. What's up, Gaseous? How's it going? From Twitch. How you doing? Suppose, you know what? It is 12 now. It just hit noon, so I think it's good to kick it off. Bad Tunes is also in the chat. Says, I don't have time to watch the stream, but just want to say hi and hope the stream goes well. Thanks, Bad Tunes. You can always tune in later. There's going to be a VOD of this, and Andres is also going to be doing an edit of it. So you'll have that to look forward to. But yeah, it's noon. It's 12:01 now. Let's get on with it. So the first thing that usually I want to go through on this is just finding out what it is that whoever I'm helping with their project, like what they're looking for, like the sort of like mini goals, or even if they're vague, sort of like fuzzy notions in their head of what they're trying to achieve, and then we can both kind of work together to make those more concrete and stuff. So disclaimer too is that this is our second call actually. So Andres actually hit me up for a call. What is it, like 2 weeks ago now? Maybe 3 weeks ago.
When I had no idea what to do, it was more general. I think there was no Unity project by that time. We had the first call. It was more of a guidance call.
Right. So it was more of like a like, that's a good way to put it, like a guidance call, just to kind of like feel things out. But he kind of has a better idea of what he wants now, so that'll change how this goes too. Things will already be a little bit more concrete. So also really quick too is like usually when I go through this process at a part of the sign up thing, I usually get a little note of what it is that they're thinking about, and then I can kind of chew on that before our meeting. Today it's not the case. Don't really have anything. So as he's telling me these things, you're hearing them like for the first time, just like me, and we'll just kind of get through this together. Also says barely hearing the guest though. Let me make sure your volume's up on my end. Let me just turn it up a little bit more. Can you give me a test 1 2 3?
Yes.
Test.
Yeah. People are saying that test 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Can folks give me a confirmation as to whether or not they can hear him? Could we get a confirmation on how clear he is?
Is this better?
Let's see. Well, while we wait for responses from them, I'm also just going to open it up on my iPad to see if I can just hear it good.
Cool.
Give me some more tests.
Test 1 2 3 1 2 3. Can you hear what I'm saying?
Give me some more tests.
Test 1 2,
Okay, great. Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think so. So, yeah, I can hear it on my iPad. If anybody has any problems hearing him, then let me know. But we'll make sure that this is a little higher.
No, they say that they're not hearing it. My wife is from the room checking, and she said that's still no good.
Huh, what am I hearing on my end then? His voice is low. His voice is low. Even still, is his voice still low? I turned up his audio. Give me some more test.
Test. 1, 2, 3. Is this good? Is this good?
I feel like now you're getting in the red. Gaseous and Play Tionati. Can we get a confirmation on the quality?
Yeah, no, my wife is saying that
still low.
Super quiet and far away, and you are crystal clear.
Really? What?
I'm so happy she's. It's as if you were on the phone with me, like, but from afar.
Oh, that's strange. Yeah, we're going this. That's correct, and it shows up. Let me actually try bringing this down, and now give me a test. Yeah, because it's showing up through there. I'm gonna turn this up to like right here. And how about now? Can somebody confirm? Can I get a test? I feel like this is gonna be clipping now because I see it going into the red. And it's strange because I just busted it on my iPad and I thought I heard him just fine. Let me actually just try it one more time. Chat, please let us know. Is he clear now? No, I know. I muted my mic. Sorry.
Good.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm gonna change what this is receiving. Properties. Let's do this. Can you give me another test 1, 2? Oh, you know what it might be? I think what it might be is I think I had it right, but let's just go to settings really quick.
Oh, I think it was working.
Was it?
Yeah. She's saying that we're both good to go. Yeah, my wife is in another row.
Oh, brilliant. Okay,
Yeah.
then let's go.
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right.
So,
he is clear. Great.
Thank you.
So give it to me.
So I have like 3 small challenges or things that I cannot like fix. The first one, I think I mentioned it in the Discord, is this thing that actually I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share my screen.
Please, yeah.
And we should also check if the screen is being streamed properly. I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah, I have a stream here that I can confirm.
Cool. Now, can you see my screen?
I can, and let's just let me just wait to make sure that the stream is also. Yeah, we're good.
Perfect.
Okay.
No, because I'm looking at the screen in my phone and I'm not seeing the screen.
Really? I mean, you might be delayed. I see right now I'm on the. This is about to get super meta.
It's pretty late. Yeah.
But I can see it on here too.
Cool. Okay, so I have 3 things in mind. The first one is super easy. I think it should be super easy. It's the classic thing that my animations are saying, like it explodes because it's running 1,000 times in 1 second, so like it all shut off.
Okay.
Which I've been trying to debug and I haven't been able, and I know this is super simple, but I want to see like your line of thought, like how do you go to solve these things?
Right.
So that's one thing I want to do.
Okay.
Then here with ramps, it's super difficult. Like I have no idea, and I think this could be super difficult for you as well.
Could be.
Which is like, you know, when a quarter pipe ramp, which is this type of. You're seeing the game now, right?
Yeah. I can see it.
So, ramps like this. Like I hope you play Tony Hawk.
Of course, absolutely. Of course.
When the character is coming up, I want the character like to come back down with this water pipe, you know, like
right.
like Like there has to be like a type of magnetic thing or something that the player should come down the way it's coming up in these types of ramps.
Right.
And then in these types of ramps is when they like go and fly the other way.
Yeah.
So like I have no idea how to make this happen. Like when the player is coming here to come back here instead of going forward, which will matter a lot in ramps. And then if you wanna be fancy in ramps like this, I want the player to go up and come down. And then if I press a space bar or a key, then the player will rotate to come in the next available ramp. You know,
right.
Something like
Right.
that. But that might be too fancy for later. I do think that at least doing this one to work properly matters.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing that I have is I already have the player to recognize when it's he's doing a grind in the rail, but I need a hand with the particle system. Once they hit the rail, I want the particle system to make some sparks.
Right.
To hint to the player like, oh, I'm actually like doing a grind or something like that.
Right.
So those are the 3 things I have in mind.
Okay, so let me just I know you have it up on your checklist, but I'm just gonna write these down in my own words here. So the first thing that you have is the sort of like rotational thing, right? So for ramps, right? Oh, the first thing is for the error, the debug thing. Yeah. So you have an infinite loop error. That's what you're running into. So you have your infinite loop error.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely get that first. And then the thing after that is you want to have this sort of, let's just call this like ramp physics, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to sort of align your character with the shape and incline of the ramp, and also to be able to flip. And I think we'll get to it in a moment, like the specifics of this. But I'm just going to say that for the ramp physics thing, you said, we'll do this one first and then figure out the rest later. But I think that when you're problem solving that part, it's good to consider everything that you're going to want to do down the line so you don't end up with a really sort of unique solution that only solves one case,
I think that happens to me a lot. I try to solve one thing and then think of the next things, and then I finish with a Frankenstein. So yeah, I think
right. It's like you want a generic thing. So yeah, after your ramp physics, what was the last thing? Your sparks. You want particles.
Yeah, the particle systems in rails.
Okay, for grinding. Okay.
We should be super easy, but I already have another particle system working that it's not working as I want to. So I want to see your take on that.
Sure. Well, let's start with the infinite loop error. So the infinite loop error, we could see here that you're going between 3 states. You're going between idle, jump, and falling. That's where it's looping through, because those are the ones that have the 1,000 next to them. So that means each of those, to anybody watching, I'm not sure if you know this too, but like each of those numbers is how many times that state has been ran through. So it's like those move and init states have only been there once, whereas those ones have maxed out at 1,000. And the thing is, PlayMaker has a limit that you can change if you want to, but keeping it at 1,000 is recommended. And essentially what it does is it says if it tries to loop through these states more than 1,000 times in a very short amount of time, then it's going to be it'll crash Unity. So it's sort of a safety precaution, and it just arbitrarily kind of picks 1,000 because that's kind of, I don't know, it's like that's a good number to count, like that says you probably shouldn't be going through it that much. So the best thing to do here, have you tried out toggling breakpoints? Have you tried that yet?
Yes, I did that, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. But I did notice that once, because right now it's stopped because it's broken. If I go to player jump, I assume that this thing right here is showing me that the problem is here. Like something has to be happening here. But
yeah, like these might be related to it. It's not necessarily so. I mean, it's about the thing that's highlighting your problem is the states with the 1,000 in them. You're getting an infinite loop error because you see at the bottom here, at the very bottom of your screen, it says player animations loop count exceeded 1,000. So your issue is that somewhere in the logic, it's saying falling, oh wait, no, jump, oh wait, no, idle, oh wait, no, falling, oh wait, no, jump. And it's just going back and forth between all of these, and it will just do that forever. And because of that, like, that would Yeah, that would crash the system. So what we need to find is something in your logic that prevents it from going back and forth between all these states constantly.
So let's do the break thing that you advised, because I didn't do it that good. Like,
Yes.
I did and I didn't find the solution.
So yeah, if you right click on each of those states and just do for idle, jump, and falling, you want to right click, toggle breakpoint. Yep. And now let's press play.
And now, while pressing play, like, I have to, like, do I just try to break it?
No. So what a breakpoint is it stops, it pauses the game. So you see, before it even got to here, it's paused the game before. So you see how on idle, it's highlighted, but it has a 0 next to it. That's because a breakpoint will pause the game before the state with the breakpoint runs. So it lets you take a look at things how they currently are before that state does its thing. So right now we're fine, right? Because you can see 0, 0, 0 is all around. We haven't even started on idle. So if you press pause, so it'll no, just the pause button. Yeah.
In here.
Yeah. So right now the game's fine, right? But if you try jumping now.
I moved it back and forth.
Yeah, it's okay. So just press pause again. It's just gonna pause every time you go to idle. So, but try jumping.
Now.
Okay, so it pauses there. That's good. So press pause one more time. Okay, so we know that you're fine if you just jump, because it didn't even go to falling right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's where it's pausing. So now we're going to falling, which I think is strange. Something that's
because I didn't do anything different.
Yeah, what's strange to me that stood out is that, like, when you jumped, it should have went to falling the first few times that you jumped.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why didn't it go to the state of falling?
I think I know the answer, actually, because so how I have the jump coded is the player jumps, and then if I press Alt, that means that I'm going to do a trick. If I don't press Alt, I'm not going to do any trick. So there's a timer here, like I have like 0.2 seconds. So what I think is, at the beginning, I fell down and I was already in the floor, and this timer was still running. But in the second time that I jump higher, the timer like of Alt run all over, and then it falls. So it had time like to literally be falling.
Right.
Something like that. Like this timer might be the problem.
Right. So that's the thing, is you definitely want to make it so it could say that you're falling in both of those circumstances. You don't want it to make it so that you're only falling in one of those circumstances, because then it's inconsistent, and then you don't have a program that can.
So I'm gonna copy this set bool value and put it also in Alt.
Well, you could. Well, actually, yeah. You want to set, instead of copying it, it's likely that what you want to do is just, well, let me see. So you start at grounded, you jump, and then it always just goes. Yeah, it's likely that you just want to put it after jump. You don't need to have it twice. You could just move where that goes.
So to Alt or to jump?
Probably. Let me see what your jump state looks like. See, already you have one here. You see this set bool is jumping equals true. Can you expand it to make sure that it's actually setting it to true? Okay. So you're setting that is jumping to true, and you have it again in.
And I have it falling to false.
Oh, yeah. See, but you should be. You should be.
If it's jumping, it's not falling. That's
Well, but let me see. Scroll down a little bit, because like, I guess you could claim that. Yeah, that's true, because you want like a jump animation for that part. You want the is falling to happen right after, though. The thing is about like trying to decipher like whether or not your character should be playing a jump animation versus a fall animation. That's sort of unique to how you're going to be designing the animations, because it's like a lot of times the jump frame looks exactly like the falling frame. You know, like this, you know, like Mario falling is his jump frame.
I do have different animations.
Right.
What the problem that I was having is that I don't know how one animation can override another animation. So if I can do something like, if I press Alt and I'm going to do a trick,
Mm-hmm.
I want the trick to override the falling animation.
Right.
And what was happening is that I do the trick, but the falling animation was plain, so that the player cannot see the trick happening.
Right. So I think probably too is like, now that you've told me kind of how you have this FSM set up, this whole player jump thing.
The problem is here.
This is probably one of the problems. I think the whole thing with you're the infinite loop error, there's probably something we could fix back in the other state that has those toggle breakpoints. But here's something I'm realizing that could make the problem, how should I say this, like, we can end up solving a problem and then creating a new one. And what I see here is that, like, your choose trick and your tricks in here are in your player jump FSM. And so already off the top of my head, I'm thinking, like, I don't think you should have one FSM to do your jump and your tricks. I think what you need is one FSM for your jump and then FSMs for your tricks.
For each trick or for all of the tricks?
It kind of depends on what your sort of library of tricks look like. It kind of depends on like what makes the tricks different. For me, I would say that, like, whatever the case is, you just want to make player jump separate from your tricks. And like, let's start there.
Why? Like, why is it better to have a lot of FSM?
So you want to make separate FSMs. You want to make more FSMs for separate things, because when you use one FSM to try to account for other things, you end up creating a lot of redundancies. You create, like, kind of like here, right? You're already talking about, oh, what if we copy and paste this bool? And already you have it copied and pasted somewhere else, and you're going to put all these copy and pastes, and that means anytime you want to change something or add something or remove something, you're going to have to change it everywhere it exists there. And that becomes not only a pain in the ass when you're developing, like, just because you want to try new things and stuff like that, but it's also going to be a pain in the ass to, like, debug and find out why isn't this working? I thought I removed that bool, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, actually I also put that bool in 5 other places. And it's like, if you just made it exist in one place, you would only have to change it the one time. So the lesson here is make your logic compartmentalized. Jumping should only worry about jumping. Tricks, it's kind of arguable. I think if you're making a game where you had, like, I don't know, like 5 to 10 tricks, maybe put them in one FSM. But I think maybe also, yeah, maybe you just make tricks each their own FSM if you're going to have, like, a ton, or maybe you make a type of trick, an FSM for, like,
because the grinds in the rails are a different FSM. So, like, if I do grinds in rails one FSM, then maybe doing air tricks.
Exactly. You do, like, an FSM for jump, an FSM for grinding, for grind tricks, an FSM for flip tricks, right? Because think about how Tony Hawk did it. It's like they broke it down by each button. Each button on the controller was flip, grind, and grab. Those were the 3 buttons that Tony Hawk had. So it might make sense to, at the very least, make 3 FSMs for each of those. Yeah. So, because, like,
go to what?
Well, let me go back to this other FSM here. By the way, also someone in the chat, Atom says hello, says, but if you always need to jump to do a trick, having that in one FSM would make sense. So if you always need to jump to do a trick, then that means that jump is just going to, I'm just answering Tom here, because Tom is what he's saying is that, like, it sounds like you would want to put tricks in the jump FSM. And what I'm saying is that if you always need to jump to do a trick, that doesn't mean that the logic for doing the trick should be in the jump FSM. All it means is that tricks require the sort of in the air state. And being in the air just requires jumping. So player jump is just about setting the circumstances of the player being in the air. And that way, when all of the trick FSMs are trying to be executed, the first thing they check is, am I in the air? Is the player in the air? And if that's true, then whatever button combination does these things. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's the same as moving and grounded. Like, grounded is different than moving. Those are different FSMs, even though moving and, like, I don't know, like, the fact that you're in the ground and you're, yeah, I can understand now the different FSMs. My rationale was, like, if I have multiple FSMs, they're all working in parallel at the same time. And if I have one FSM, then everything happens sequentially. So I was thinking, like, I don't need the trick FSM to be working when I'm starting to jump, and I also don't need, like, if I'm doing a trick, I don't want that fall into work, you know, like, I was thinking, because all of these things, jump, trick, fall, happens sequentially, that's why I put it in one FSM, but I think, whatever.
Yeah, I think especially when you're working with PlayMaker and seeing, like, it's tempting because it's like, oh, it makes a lot more sense doing it that way. Like it you could see it laid out. It's like, oh, I can't get there unless I get here. But
exactly.
So it's tempting, and like you could, but again, you're going to end up with all these redundancies. And instead of programming with redundancies, to really kind of like, let's learn from this, because I feel like we're kind of saying a lot of the same thing over and over again now, and I just want to like really kind of make this more pragmatic and useful now, which is that, like, if you choose to break up the FSMs between jump, trick, grab, and grind, then you could still use that logic that you're talking about, where you're like, oh, they're all running in parallel, so I want to make it so you can't do these things unless these other things, right? And that's why the state machine is so tempting, because it's like, oh, if I put it all in here, at least I know it's never getting to that state first. So to get that same logic, you're still doing the same thing when you break up the FSMs, except now what you're doing is you're making it so the start of each one of your other FSMs, like all your trick FSMs, so it's like flip, grab, and grind, you make sure that the first thing that they check when you're trying to do something is, am I in the air, or am I on a rail? And then if not, then this does nothing. You know, they just do a quick check. And so that's a great way to set up the same logic, but now they're sort of not dependent on, you know, creating all these crazy amounts of bools and conditions, and you start having all these transitions and states everywhere, and like multiple of everything. So let's try.
Let's go back to the animation.
I do want to figure this out. So it might be dependent on the things that we saw right now, but so right now, can I take a look at your falling? The falling state.
Falling here.
So it's getting the FSM bool is grounded, because you have an FSM called is grounded. Okay. And let's take a look at your is grounded FSM really quick. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Okay, so it does the ray cast, it shoots down. And then, so, okay, hold on. This is strange, because it's setting is grounded to true here. You have a set bool value that sets it to true, and then it does a ray cast, and I'm guessing it's overriding that, right?
It says story did hit.
Yeah. So why do you have this one at the top here? This
I have no idea.
Yeah, I feel okay. Just deactivate it for now. Unswitch that little Let's just, because it's likely that shouldn't be there, but yeah. So scroll down a little bit here, and so it's repeating. It's
I remember why I have this, because I know, because at the beginning my player was a little bit like raised up, and the game was starting with him not being grounded,
right,
something like that. So I wanted the game to start with him being grounded. Yeah,
so let's clean that up too, because you're also going to be screwing yourself if you try to commit to this thing too. So let's take it one thing at a time here. The way you solve that is you make sure that your player can be put anywhere on the screen, even if he's falling, and it won't freeze, it won't stop on you and say, hey, wait a minute, he's not grounded. So you don't want to make it so you have to put him on the floor every time. So the way you could do that is by on your this raycast thing, that's fine. It's checking constantly, right, if he's grounded. But where that bool value is being made use of, we could change how it works. And that's likely in the player jump. Let's go to the player jump really quick. Okay, so in here, you see how you start on grounded, but instead, the fix is to start on falling. So you could just change the start state and it'll work. Just try it.
But then wouldn't that make, like... Okay, so starting falling here is what you're saying.
No. If you literally just keep everything the same except go to your falling state. Your falling state. Yeah, there you go. Right click on that. No, on the actual state part, yeah, and set as your start state. Okay, so now it's going to assume that he's falling. So if you raise him up, right, it'll always just make sure. We also have breakpoints on here, so that's why it's pausing, because, yeah. But there you go. Yeah. And you didn't need that little bool, because remember we turned off that bool in your grounded state. So this is going to be a much cleaner way to work. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna chip away at little things. We're gonna get little bonuses in here, but let's stay on track for the three things that we're on this call for. This infinite loop error thing. If you really think about it, it's likely because of the jump fall combo, because it's somewhere in there. It's going, am I falling or is this considered a jump? Mm-hmm. So I think what you need to do is go to your jump state.
Here or jump FSM?
Yeah, just the state here and it's getting the FSM bool is falling, right? Where is it getting from? It's getting it from the player jump. So you see already it's kind of like we're getting this from the player jump is falling, not necessarily whether or not the player is grounded. And so it's kind of like, what's the difference? Mm-hmm. So it's like you could be getting this FSM bool from the is grounded thing instead. And that might be a more reliable way. Because this jump here, if this is just for animations, then you just want this state to happen only when when you're saying the player is jumping, not necessarily falling.
Yeah, but this is in order to know when to leave this state. Like once he's falling, then the bool test says, oh yes, he's falling, so I have to leave jump state.
Right, so that means that in your logic somewhere, you're going to have to say that only when the character is moving down after a jump, then that's considered falling. Mm-hmm. So does that logic exist anywhere in the system?
Let's see, player jump, let's see in player jump.
Because I think it would be in player jump, right? If you go to player jump FSM, yeah.
In falling is setting... here it sets is falling to true, so
right, but it's
it makes sense. Uh-huh.
But what is falling? What is happening when he's falling?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know what is falling. This is falling is setting gravity, increasing gravity.
Okay, yeah.
And then here, player grounded is grounded.
It's getting a bool that says if they're grounded, because it wants to check, right? Because that makes sense. It wants to put them back on the ground, if they are grounded. But the thing is, you definitely want. Let me do it this way. By the way, also Atom says, thanks. I wish more people knew PlayMaker. It's actually as fun playing his game themselves. I agree. It's so fun making games. But loads of people Excuse me. But loads of people have opened Unity, realized they needed to learn code, and then closed it. Yeah, it's a shame. Liam KS Animation says, oi, oi. And Tyrone says, my guy, it's been a while. LMAO. How's it going, Tyrone? How's it going? How's it going? So the thing I want to show here is if I can just go... the thing that kind of sucks is I'm not really... it's hard for me to share my screen. So usually during these calls, I could share my screen, but OBS is currently taking over it. So... If you can bear with me for a moment, I'm gonna try to share it, and if I can't, then maybe Andres just looks at my.
Can I just give you like access to my screen and you do whatever you're going to do in my screen?
Well, no, because I was actually gonna draw. I was gonna draw on a piece of paper. So what I'm gonna do here is let me just try this really quick. Let me go to this, and I'm just gonna go just webcam, and then we're gonna zoom out a little bit, and then. What I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna bust out a piece of paper, and I'm gonna send this picture to you, in Discord if it's easier.
Yeah, anyway.
But so what I'm gonna draw right now is, a character on the ground, and then I'm gonna draw a character up in the air. And then I'm going to draw a character sort of like falling in the air. Okay, so essentially what I've drawn here are the three states that we want to take into a consideration. Super easy. I'm just going to screenshot this. I'm going to send it to you in the Discord right here. Okay, so we have grounded, which can also be moving. And then, hold on, let me just make sure I'm switching back to this. We have grounded, which can be moving. Then we have jumping, which is that middle one, where he's just jumping upright in the air. And then we have the other one, which is falling. And those are three distinct states, both for two things. For animation, right? So you want to have, there's two considerations. There's one is like the physics side of it. And then two, the animation. For it. Okay, so you have to have each of these states has. Okay, so the reason this is important is because right now your system currently accounts for jumping and falling, but its animations have a sort of jumping and falling as like two separate things. I'm not saying this quite right. What I'm trying to say is that like falling by definition is when you're already moving downward, not that you're just not on the ground. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we need a system that accounts for actually falling, not necessarily, because you could be not on the ground and not falling, because you could be moving upwards, which is also another way of saying you're jumping. So what you do then is, I think, let me see, I have Unity open. I'm going to go over, I'm just going to browse through some of these things. So it's like, it's likely a get velocity kind of thing. Yeah. So, I have a thing here. I'll screenshot this too, because I don't know if you're able to open my stream. I don't know how big the delay is. But I have Unity open right now. And again, I could just screenshot whatever doesn't work. So what you could do is like a float compare and a get velocity. And this is just off the top of my head, but I'm thinking you could have like a up and down, right? Or you could call this like velocity underscore y. And
there is a new FSM just for falling, or that goes in the jump?
That's a good question. I think it could probably be. I think it could probably be its own FSM, and then it can kind of return like a bool or something. But essentially, what it's doing is it's checking your velocity on the y scale, and if it's less than 0, then you can use like falling. Let me see. And these are just running every frame. So it kind of looks like this. Let me send this to you. So you see, y is up and down, and if the velocity of your player, I just sent it to you on Discord. If the velocity of your player is less than 0 on y, that means it's in the negatives for your y. That means your player is falling downwards. And that way you're able to check whether or not they're falling. And that's the value that you use to sort of delineate jumping versus falling. Mm-hmm.
So if velocity, so velocity y is the one float.
Yep.
And velocity 2 is 0.
Yep.
Yeah, so if velocity is less than, that means that it's falling.
Right, because then it's in negative, and that means you're falling.
So what? Okay, so it's falling.
Yeah, so you can, I would name these events something like, I don't know, just next. I would just say next really quick.
Why not falling?
And then I would just name this state like not falling. Right? This state would be considered not falling. Right? And then so that next transition would fire off to another state called falling. And then in here, you basically do the reverse. You can copy paste that logic.
Okay, let me check. So if y, okay, so here I'm saying grab y movement,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm saying if y is less than 0,
Mm-hmm.
It goes to falling. Yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense.
And so you can copy and paste these. Right?
And then here I do, if it's more,
Yeah, exactly.
I do next and throw to the other side.
Exactly.
So what this is doing is setting. Wait.
So that means you could put a set bool value in here now.
Exactly.
In both of these. Yeah.
To set falling state.
Yeah. So this should be your authority that says whether or not things are falling. So anywhere in your logic where you want to check if they're falling, then this would check that instead.
Falling is checked here. And
Yep.
do I uncheck it here?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Third channel says, oh, that's Louis. The man, the myth, spreading a wealth of knowledge. I'm trying. We're doing some good work over here. I'm learning some new shit too, because I honestly don't work with 2D very much, so this is always a fascinating thing to kind of jump into.
Cool. So now in falling, I just get the bool value.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah, this one it has nothing to do with being grounded anymore,
So
I think. Let me just make sure that makes sense, right? Does that? Sorry, I'm also kind of getting acclimated to what your whole system is here too.
Well, because also, what if the guy is grounding downwards? Would that make y be negative? Yes.
That's a good point. So what you want then is you want a combination of bools. So there's also an action called bool all true, because if you're falling, then you would want, right now, what your example was is if he's moving downwards, right? If he's moving down a ramp, so he's grounded. What you would want is if he's not grounded and his velocity is negative y, then that means he's falling. So it's the combination of those two that truly represents falling. So you could use the action bool all true for something like that, which lets you set two bool values to check.
Okay, let's first set this falling here. So from falling here, I'm gonna get the player falling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get falling, and then I'm gonna store it in an internal.
Yep.
Why do I have an is fall? Can I use this same is falling?
Probably, as long as it's not screwing with it anywhere else in there. Let's just go with it. Let's make.
So it's going to be falling. And now, if it's falling,
You should get rid of that bool. You don't need that bool anymore.
Exactly. Store value, yeah, because it's falling, and then
So instead,
is falling.
so but here though, right? Because this is in jump. What we want, remember, it's like you made a really good point. It's like he could be moving downward and not be falling, right? If he's going down a slope. So what you want is a bool all true that checks both of these before it sends an event.
Here, or in the is falling.
I think in here. I mean, well, actually, let me see. That I think that could work. That might be a better localized way of putting it, right? Where it's
Right,
like if he's falling, yeah. Keep this here, yeah, and then in your falling, FSM, yeah, in this one, when he, yeah. I like that. This is, see, you're already one step ahead of me on this, using the same logic that I was trying to say is best, which is to compartmentalize and keep it all in one space so you don't have to make it redundant. I was about to make it more redundant. This is definitely a better way to go. And you put 2. Yep.
And then wait, and then so I have to grab grounded also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, but hang on. Because I think let's be careful with our language here, because it's like, when you're doing the grounded thing, it's like is grounded equals true. That means he's on the ground. But is grounded equals false means he's in the air. And then falling equals true should rely on, but funnily enough,
Yeah. Another way of doing it is that I can set something that is like if player is in the ramps or in a rail, then he's never falling.
yeah, but that starts getting a little messy because
It's an override of an override, yeah.
Because you want it to just be if he's touching the ground at all. It's kind of already the same thing. It's very similar, right? But you just want to make it so it's like if he's touching anything, then he's not falling. So we're on. This is perfect. This is fine right now. I think the thing that just gets a little messy is this whole. Let me maximize your screen. Is this whole language between is falling equals true and is grounded equals true. So let me see. Is falling is like air, and then just a second. I'm just writing something down.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we want is for the velocity to be less than 0 and is grounded to be false. That's the best way to say it. So when velocity is less than 0 and is grounded equals false, then send off to the next state. So you could do this a couple ways. You could separate it into one more state. So it's like on our not falling. Let's start here. Let's just do this one step at a time. On this not falling state, you have the get velocity, and you have the float compare. And when it's less than that, it can, I think what we should do, honestly, is maybe just, let's just separate this into one extra state for each side. So you'll have not falling, and then it'll do a check. So let's add one more state underneath not falling. And that next will go there. And on your not falling state, get rid of that get FSM bool. Let's just bring it back to the old, get rid of that. Yep. Okay, so now in this next state, this one is where you're going to be checking.
Grounded.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And to prevent infinite loop errors, you're on the right track. We'll make sure that our bool test in here. Go ahead and throw that bool test in. Except only put the value for false. Yeah, it'll go next.
I hit next.
Yeah. Don't set it as every frame though. And even that get FSM bool up there, make sure that's not doing it every frame either. Yeah, uncheck that because we just want this state to run once.
And what I want to know is grounded.
Yeah. So next can go over to falling. This transition. Yep, we can go over to.
Because this says if is grounded is false, then it's falling.
Yep. Okay.
But then if it's true, shouldn't it go to not falling?
Exactly. So, but instead of that is true, what you're going to put after here is a next frame event. So add the action next frame event.
Here.
Yeah. And that will and make this one called back or something. I would make
back and not falling.
Because eventually when you're working on this, like as long as your states can have the logic in there, as long as you can look at your states and it makes sense, that's the best way to organize your thoughts. Because if you start looking at these transitions, your menu is going to get filled with a ton of transition names.
Yes.
You know, and you want to keep it kind of clean because you just want to say, hey, do you do the next thing or do you go back? You know.
So the back thing is good because I will be able to use it in multiple. Multiple represents.
Exactly.
Why are we doing next frame and not the false in the bool state?
Okay.
We're just like trying to play it safe. Right?
No. We're not just trying to play it safe. We're absolutely preventing a problem from happening. So what's going to happen here is like it'll be rapidly going back and forth between these whenever only one of those conditions is true. And it'll do it thousands and thousands of times a second if not left unchecked. And so that will absolutely give you an infinite loop error if this was not here. So the next frame event is just a way of mitigating that. It prevents it altogether.
Okay.
But the next frame event also, the way it plays it safe, the way it prevents it from happening, it'll still happen a bunch of times, but now it's reliant on the frame rate of the person's computer. So it'll only do it, you know, if you're running at like, even if it's 100 frames a second, it'll still only be 100 times a second, which is totally safe for a computer to handle.
Cool. It's not like the million. Okay.
Yeah.
So now where are we?
So now when you go to the falling, you do a very similar thing. By the way, also, you didn't hit enter when you named that state. It's still called state 1. So you want to put is grounded, but make sure you hit enter at the end. So falling will have the same idea.
The same bool text?
Yes. It'll have all that same stuff, yeah. You can literally just copy and paste
Like this? Oh, shit. And then from falling here, it comes here.
Yep.
Yeah, and back comes here, and
yep.
next.
Yeah, but now just make sure that you change the true and false part. Yeah. So now it's saying, yeah, it's just checking if you're.
Why we're not getting these FSM like every frame?
So when it gets every frame, when this action or when this state starts, when we arrive at this state, it's going to be getting that information. Like if you look at from top to bottom the action, and it goes get FSM bool test, next frame event. the get FSM bool and bool test only are gonna need to run once, and if they try running again, then you could end up with information that is inaccurate, and like you just want them all to be working with like the same piece of information.
This is kind of running every frame, but like in a conservative, like slower pace.
Almost, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just don't want it to have to do any more work than it needs.
Yeah. Okay. Now.
So before we start testing anything, because I think this would be a good point to start testing. Almost, I think what you should do is just trust me on this and go to your player jump thing, and just you don't have to delete the stuff, but just disconnect all this choose trick and trick stuff. Just disconnect these parts and move the states to the side. They could still live there. But let's just look at a player jump FSM that only has the jump. And what is this alt again? That's for doing tricks?
Yeah, so the tricks is Alt 1 and then Alt 2 and then Alt 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it feels cool, like doing a space and Alt, like it's like kicking the board.
Right.
So it feels like cool, and then you choose the trick. So yeah, it's like in Tony Hawk you used to play like to press like square to say, hey, I'm going to do a flip.
Yeah.
And then left and right and up and right will be the flip.
Right.
So here Alt is signaling that I'm going to the trick, and then 1 and 2 and 3 is the trick.
Okay. So it's like, right. I see what you're saying. So let me just think about this for a second. So if I'm playing and I hit space, I just do a jump. If
you release space.
Okay. Oh, okay, I see. So if you release space, I do the jump, right? Because you're kind of like charging up your jump. Is that why? Do you want to put that in?
Not really. No, not really. I had it like that, but it's because it feels really cool to like let go and then have to use the finger to alt. Like releasing space and hitting alt, it's pretty similar when you're skateboarding, like to do the kick and like pop and kick.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because my finger kind of does this. It does this motion almost like if these were my feet, kind of like with a tech deck. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Imitate that feeling.
Right. Okay, I like that. So it's like when I let go of space, and right after I let go of space, I have to, within a very short amount of time, also press Alt.
Exactly. You have like less than a second.
Right.
Do that. Yeah.
Okay, so then when that does it, can my pitch be this then? Is what if that's just how you jump? What if that's just an ollie? Because that movement is it.
Ah, that's cool. I like it. Oh, that's cool. Of course.
Right, and then so that feels better, and your programming side of things will become easier, because now
the player will understand. Like the tutorial is gonna be easier if there's just one thing.
Yeah. So let's. Okay, we're coming in on an hour here. You know I'm not super strict with these times. Anybody watching, whoever signs up for any of these consultations, I'm not usually super strict about these the hour long things. It's like I try to prioritize getting your problem solved. And also, especially though, for the sake of the stream today, you're going to be seeing he's going to be getting a little bit more special treatment. We're going to be running a little over more than usual, if that's okay with his time. Let's just not normalize that. An hour-long call means more or less, but we'll get your problem solved as much as they can. So
let's remove the particle system. Let's just try to make it to the ramp thing.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, okay. So here's the thing: is while we're here, I would like to almost like. I'll just say this: if we start solving your ramp stuff, right? It's gonna be reliant on like a sturdy controller to begin with, you know. So let's just first try to knock out this player jump thing. Cool. So let's see. You have all these. I would just literally right click on all those tricks, right? Or actually, I would do this: make a new FSM and just call it tricks. Let's just make a broad one called tricks, and this is just gonna be sort of like a little place to hang on to stuff for a second, and just copy those, and then paste in here. Yeah. Okay. And then honestly, just deactivate your player tricks. Disable the FSM so it doesn't try to do anything weird. Okay, so now we have a nice clean player jump here. And this will just... What is it a pretty simple... Can you just set this up to do that thing right now where you do the type of jump we were just talking about? Where even the...
Oh, I don't know how I can... With the jump, how can this get 2 buttons? Well, get button... Yeah.
Oh, so because you want the alt to be pressed after, right? It's like after you let go of.
Kinda, yeah, exactly.
So it could just be in the next state.
So I actually need a state here that is just this. Ah, shit. So what's the thing? Let me. So here, and then here I have to do alt. Man, this is difficult. Like to, I don't know if you have any tricks here for.
What are you trying to do?
No, the button name.
Oh. Because like.
No, it's fine. Because this thing, it's like.
Oh, so for this, no. So you don't have to hold that arrow. So in here, just make sure you put your mouse on top of it, just anywhere in it, in that list. So it's just something's blue. And then from there, push the first letter of the keyboard.
I press it. Yeah, I see. Oh, that's good. That's simple.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but wait, I am... What's the thing? So here, I'm pressing space. And then going... this got all messed up now.
It's okay. One thing at a time. So it's like it's waiting for you to let go of space, and then
so I let go space.
Yep.
Get button up is jump. When I let go, here I have to press alt.
Okay.
This is get button down.
Get key down. Yeah. Well, because get button is going to be using Unity's axes things. That's the input manager. So it depends. What was the first one you had? Can I take a look at that first state, the one where you jump? So right here you're using get button up because when you type in jump there, that means your input manager has something called jump that you tied to something. That's very different from get key down, which is an explicit, just says specifically a key. Yeah, and I think prototyping things is good to just get it down with get key stuff, but when you're trying to kind of future-proof something, I think it's also good to get your input manager stuff down from the beginning.
So I should do get button.
Yeah, but as long as you know, I would definitely put a get button down. But right now you're gonna have to check to make sure which thing it is. A Tom says, when pressing 2 movement inputs simultaneously, it makes my character move a lot faster. Would I fix that with a clamp velocity with the clamp float as player speed? Last time I tried, it didn't work. You should always be able to clamp your speed. Well, the thing is, I think the way Unity calculates the speed of something, if you're using a character controller, if it's using a vector, then it's moving something by units per axes. So the combination of 2 axes end up moving something faster. So what you might want is a clamp vector 3. Atom, try using a clamp vector 3. So it clamps all aspects of your vector 3.
Do you know here... well, this can be like fire 1, right?
Yeah, so this is where you'd put in the names of your...
Yeah, and I can go left, alt, out.
Mm-hmm.
And this should work.
Yeah, and I would name it something that makes sense to you. You know, 'cause that way you can press it in. Like, is that maybe like...
Shit, I'm gonna name it alt, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe call it alt then. Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Tom says, thank you. You got it. You got it. I mean, it sounds like that should work.
And then here it's pressing Alt, and here is jumping. And then this doesn't matter.
This is like, this one I would say idle, or like, I would call it like standby. Because it's like waiting for the player to do something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the next state is like...
this is actually jumping.
Yeah. So this is where I think what you want your... Because you want it to be the combination of letting go of space and pressing Alt, right?
Yeah.
So I think what you have... You deleted that state a moment ago, but I think you could just make it again really quick. Is that one state that says, oh, did 0.8 seconds or whatever go by, or however fast, I forgot. You know, it's like a wait and the...
Yeah. So here, like this, like from jumping.
Mm-hmm. So this one, I would say that the wait should send the event back. Right, because so it's like if it got all the way to then and the player still didn't press anything, then just go back because the player didn't do it right. But then in the same state, you're also putting that input for Alt. And if they do press Alt down while we're here, then it could go next. Yeah, and I think this is your jump logic. Yep. And then here, yeah. Will this work? Wait, grounded? Yeah. Okay, I think that makes sense. Oh, you know what you should do is I would turn this... I would stop playing, and I would just disable the toggle breakpoints. Yeah. You have to detoggle them one more time. Yeah. Okay. What's this? Why is this? Set gravity 2D. What are these? These just set... Oh, these are not checking if it's grounded. Right. Oh, so this needs to check... Okay, stop playing. So this state, this grounded state, this needs to check if the player's grounded because you don't want them to be able to ollie if they're in the air. So this is just yeah. Exactly. And then a bool test. It doesn't need to run every frame. It just, yeah, you're just doing it once. By the way, pro tip, sometimes you want this, sometimes you don't, but like a really good action to get off the ecosystem is FSM bool test. So you don't have to get the FSM every time.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, so then if you're not grounded, or if is grounded is true, then you could do next. But if it's false, then you just want to go back. Yeah. To standby, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, that looks like it should work. Oh, what's the jump state? What's that actually have in it? Yeah, I think this all looks like it will make sense now. I think there's some stuff in here with like your bool set up, you know, with the whole falling and jumping stuff that needs to be cleaned up. But let's see. Yeah, right. Okay, so just disable this player animations FSM really quick, just to make sure that we can, like if you
Can
go,
I disable it from here, or I have to?
you have to go over there. Yeah, you have to go over there. Just, you could just scroll down though.
Yeah, but how do you know where it is?
There it is.
Some...
I think it was up one above the.
Yeah, but there's no trick to find that quick, right?
You shouldn't have too many FSMs.
You know how many FSMs.
No, I know, but usually I think what a good practice too is to split them up between the objects. But it's okay. This is fine. This is fine. So let's see how this runs. Try doing an ollie.
Because I put them all in the later.
So is that the move?
Yeah.
I think what you probably want is a shorter frame. You know the wait, it's like 0.8 seconds. That's almost a whole second. I think it probably needs to be like shorter to like really make the player like get that pop in.
I think that if I do it too quick, it doesn't work. What's happening? And it stopped.
Oh, it thinks you're falling.
Uh-huh.
So where is it getting that FSM bool from?
From player falling.
Right, which it, from what I understand, we don't have totally sorted out yet, right?
I think that's the one that we sorted out.
Oh, this is okay. So is grounded, and when it's falling, it sets it. Oh, so then that means go back to the player jump one. And this one is getting FSM bool is falling, and then scroll down to the bool test part. If it's true, that doesn't make any sense. If it's true, then it should be on standby. That it should be the other way around. If it's false, then it goes to the next one. Right? Because you don't, like, why would he? See, this is also why it's good to stay away from true or false.
Yeah.
You know? Not stay away completely. I think sometimes it's really helpful, but like, yeah.
Oh, it exploded. Wait, what?
Is it more reliable now?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so let's kind of set
just fix the thousand error.
right. Well, I think also because the player animations thing is off right now.
Yeah.
That was the problem. So I think that's also really good to note, is that your player animations FSM was the thing that was giving you that error. Right, that's why I was saying to put the toggle breakpoints on it. Like, there's nothing wrong with your actual controller here. That's fine.
Yeah, it's the animation.
So here's kind of, because I do want to start, like, bringing this home and wrapping it up and kind of setting you in the right direction with some, like, actual useful things that you can wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I know what needs to be fixed. I'll write this out to you. I'll in this thing. We'll also take a look at the actual project some more too, but let's just get the important shit out of the way. So the first thing is your infinite loop error is because of the animations FSM. Okay, now the thing about it is that like the problem with it is something to do with how it's understanding falling, jumping, and is grounded. These things need to be sorted out for this to be fixed. Okay, so that's like the one that's we're sure of. We know that's 100% the problem. So because of that, right? Number two is, let's finalize the jump. It already kind of looks like we have like the new jump thing you have set up. It looks way more condensed, way simpler. It is, as long as that's working, that's already a great start. So it's like finalize the jump FSM to only have its like whatever. It's like, what is it? It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of what your logic is. There's finalize the jump FSM to only do jumps, and put a, what do you have in there? Like your tricks, you're doing flip tricks and you're doing grinds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so number two is actually already taken care of. We already finalized this jump FSM. So actually your tricks should be dependent on just like on something like on like 1 or 2 bulls at a time, and I'll write them in an example here. 1 or 2 bulls at a time. So I'll have it as like, for flip tricks, you want to make sure the player is, well, not grounded, and not touching I think that's all it is. I think it's just not grounded. So that's for flip tricks and grab tricks. And for rails, you want the player to only do them if they're touching a rail. And that's just like full stop. It just doesn't matter. As long as they're touching the rail, they could be falling or whatever the hell, jumping. It should be in that moment. As long as they're touching it, then they could do the trick. So that's like the second part of this. It's like, I think really the thing that you're going to need finessing with the most as you're working on this is like literally just the rules, right? Like just explaining it to me in person, like as a, like, just if you could explain it to me in English, that's like the best starting point. Because right now it's like there's a lot going on with like what is falling and what is grinding and all that kind of stuff. So I think that can bring us to with the main, I think the kind of the juiciest bit of what I wanted to get to, which was the ramp stuff. So can you show me these ramps really quick?
Are you sure? I think this might take a while.
No, I'm not going to get into any specifics of this. I'm just going to try to like set you in the right direction so you can end up problem solving the stuff on your own. He has to like push the thing. Dude, pause it and pick him up. Yeah. There you go.
Right now, this is what happens. Like,
right.
I need to jump, but like, shit, this new jump I'm not used to. You see, like he goes right here, like he goes over.
Right. You want him to go up.
Come back the same way.
Right. So, without telling you explicitly what to do, because I honestly don't even know what to do. It'd take a moment to sit down and like tinker with some things. I can say that you'll probably want some of this. I'm going to send you some screenshots right now. Let me see. Is it even in here? No, you're probably going to need to go to the ecosystem. Do you have the ecosystem installed on here?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably going to want... I'm just on the ecosystem. I'm searching velocity. And I think what you want are these.
I was thinking of like kind of like freezing X movement and just leaving Y movement, something like that.
Well, it might be a little... that might be overcomplicating things, surprisingly. I think what you might want to check first is these ones. You might want to check these. Let me just send this to you. Yeah, I'm going to copy these. So grab these off of the ecosystem, the set angular velocity and get angular velocity. So angular velocity is the sort of like velocity is when something is moving up, down, left, and right, right? Like how fast it's moving up, down, left, and right. Angular velocity is how much it's spinning on any one of those axes. And so what you could do is you could set its angular velocity to either lock or turn in some way. So you could physically turn your character and make them like face in a certain direction. And you could still be adding like a local forward for them. So it's kind of like if I screenshot this, just have to open up these, sorry. You want to be able to say what like your local forward is, even if your player is on their back or something, like if their face is facing up, you want it to look like this. I'm sending you another picture. So you see your little guy facing forward, that could be just his local X, right? And you want to be able to just be pushing forward. And when he's on the ramp, you want him to be able to turn and still be pushing forward so he can maintain that velocity. And you can end up with a system that does a lot of work for you. You don't want to have to overcomplicate things by like making up all these weird bespoke physics rules, because Unity already has a physics engine. Mm-hmm. You know, so you want to really see how far you could push it to make it so that potentially you could just move him fast enough at a curved collider and hopefully just make it so he turns on it and it pushes him up and he actually just goes up, you know? There's a lot of things in Unity that will probably just do it for you. There might be some little hacks here and there, but I think that's generally the direction I wanted to set you in, because you know, it's just Occam's razor kind of thing, right? The easiest answer is, or the simplest answer is obviously, or the most obvious answer, right? It's like this, the easiest answer is probably the correct one. Yeah. So sorry we couldn't get to the rest of that today, but as you can see, there's a lot of little exactly. Little changes.
I had to fix the foundations before we let it into everything else.
Exactly. Really get these foundations down. But now that we've talked about it, I think you probably have a good roadmap to sort of move forward on, especially with the tricks and stuff.
I think I'm good. I have a lot of homework now for the week.
Right on.
And thanks a lot for this call.
Yeah,
appreciate your help.
You got it, man. It's a pleasure. It's fun working on this kind of stuff. So I hope anybody else tuning in can also have learned something about this. I realize it's easy to get caught in the weeds here. So anybody tuning in, if you're interested in getting more consulting stuff that's like, could be more theory, but it can also be very technical and in the weeds like it was today. I'm always more than happy to help out with both. It's a lot of fun to help people solve their problems either way. So let's have a good sign off. Tell people where they can find your stuff, and anything else you want to add.
No, good. Everything the same. My name and last name and letter C, Andres Pineiro. you'll Google and you'll find me. It's easy. And I hope you play my game once it's ready.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Thank you so much. Appreciate your help.
You got it, man. All right, everybody. Well, I'll catch y'all soon enough. Catch us in the Discord, and look forward to his edit of this, which is hopefully a little bit more condensed and helpful.
Cool. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
See you later, man.